It's your girl Kaylee Sparks here with you today, and today I'm going to show you guys how to make this super cute pineapple crochet motif. Okay guys, today I'll be just showing you guys how to make the square, but in video coming up you will see how to do the crochet pineapple romper. A big shout out to Chanel Turner. I hope I'm calling your name correctly. She is the one that actually asked me to do this video because she wanted for her birthday coming up. So happy birthday to you, Chanel Turner, and a big shout out to each and everyone who have asked me as well to make a video on this. But to let you guys know, I have not looked on a diagram to make this outfit, and I have never used a diagram for any of my crochet outfit. I am a visual learner, never try using the diagram. But I get this crochet book from my godmother. It is in Chinese language. Yes, she speaks Chinese, but I do not know much in I don't know how to read Chinese language, and you can see guys it is in Chinese, but there's a diagram here, and because I'm a visual learner I think I will get this. And big shout out to Dr. Chinsey. Thank you very much for this book. I know it'll be at great use. So I am going to learn how to do diagram and to read crochet book because I want to start making my own pattern from my original design. So the first person I have seen with the crochet romper design was Jada Kingdom. She was wearing it last year September, and then I see CC Boutique on Instagram also made a crochet pattern from it, and then I see Adoma the crocheter with the same pattern. Big shout out to Adoma. She's the one that actually posted this on Instagram, and she had a clear picture with, I think it's Fashion Nova design with it, so I actually could see that pattern properly to make this outfit, because I wanted to make it from last year but I could not see the pattern clearly. But my design will be a little bit different from Jada Kingdom, CC, and Adoma. I hope I'm calling your name correctly, Adoma. So I hope you guys give this video a thumbs up, and let's jump straight into it. So these are the items that we're going to use for today: a tapestry needle to weave in our ends, a 4mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, and our acrylic yarn. So let's jump straight into this video. Start off by creating a slip knot. Chain up 5. Do not put any tension on your work. Slip stitch into your starting chain. Chain up 4, yarn over, weave in your ends while you go. We are going to do double crochet right in between this space. Our chain 4 is classified as a double crochet. Chain 1, yarn over, go back into that same space with a double crochet. Chain 1, yarn over, go into that space with a double crochet, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through all 3. Chain 1, yarn over, go back into that space, and you're going to do 7 double crochet, and your chain 4 is classified as a double crochet, so you're supposed to have 8 in all. Continue to do that. Slip stitch into your 3rd space on your starting chain. Slip stitch into the next space. Chain up 3. Yarn over, go back into that same space with a double crochet. Chain 2, yarn over, go into that next space with 2 double crochet. that's 1, that's 2, chain 2, yarn over, go into that space with 2 double crochet, and you're just going to continue to do this, and I'll meet you at the end of this round. Slip stitch into your third chain space, and that's how you finish off, and then you're going to start your row with 2 slip stitch into each space. So you're supposed to always start to reach in between. Chain up 3, yarn over, go back into that same space with a double crochet because we're creating a shell. Chain 2, yarn over, go back into that same space with 2 double crochet, so that's 1 and that's 2. So that's the way we're creating our shell. So chain 1, slip stitch into the next space, chain 1, yarn over, go into the next space and create your shell. So that's 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, chain 2, yarn over, and go back into that same space with 2 more double crochet. So that's 1, 2. So it's a 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. So chain 1, slip stitch into the next space, then chain 1 and create your shell, and you're just going to continue to do this, and I'll meet you at the next end. So slip stitch into your third chain, always remember that, guys, when you're finishing up. And to start, slip stitch into your first 2 stitches, so that's 1 and that's 2. Alright, always remember slip stitch into your first 2 stitches so that we're in between the shell. Chain up 3, yarn over, go back into that space and create a shell. So 2 double crochet with a chain 2 with 2 double crochet. That's how we are creating our shell. Chain 1, yarn over, go in between this space right here and create a double crochet. Chain 2, yarn over, go back into that same space and create a double crochet. Chain 1, yarn over, go in between your shell and create a shell. So 2 double crochet, so we did 1 and that's 2, then chain 2, yarn over, go back into that space with 2 more double crochet, and that's the way we create our shell. Chain 1, yarn over, go in between that space and create a double crochet. Chain 2, yarn over, go back into that same space and create a double crochet. Chain 1, yarn over, go in between our shell and create a shell. So continue to do this and I'll meet you at the next rounds. So I already did my slip stitch, so always remember start your row with slip stitch into the first 2 stitches, so that's 1 and that's 2 right in between our shell. So chain up 3, yarn over, go back into that space and create a shell. 2 double crochet with a chain 2 with 2 double crochet. That's how we create our shell. Chain 2, yarn over, put 13 double crochet right in between this V spot. Last one, chain 2, yarn over, go in between the shell space and put a shell. Chain 2, yarn over, go in between this V with 13 double crochet. Last one, 13, chain up 2, yarn over, go into that shell place and create a shell, and just continue to do that, and I'll meet you at the next round. So I already did my 2 slip stitch, so chain up 3, yarn over, go back into that same space and create your shell. Chain up 2, yarn over, go right in between that V spot with a double crochet. Chain 1, yarn over, go in between that V spot with the next double crochet. Chain 1, yarn over, go in between that V spot with a double crochet, and you're just going to do a chain 1 with a double crochet in each and every space. Last one, chain 2, yarn over, go in between your shell and create a shell. Chain 2, yarn over, go in between your pineapple space, because this is our pineapple, and create your double crochet with a chain 1 in each and every space. So you're just going to continue to do this, and I'll meet you at the next rounds. So chain up 3 for starting chain, yarn over, go back into that same space and create your shell. Chain 2, we are doing an extra 2 on it, so 2 double crochet on it, that's 1 and that's 2, so you're supposed to have 3 sets of double crochet right here. So chain 2, slip stitch into this space, chain up 3, slip stitch into the next space, chain 3 and slip stitch into the next place. And please remember guys, do not put any tension on your work. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting on? Hit that subscribe button and be a part of the Sparks family. Remember, each one teach one. So you're going to do it into each and every space, a chain 3 with a slip stitch. last one, chain 2, yarn over, go into that shell and create a shell. Then chain up 2 and put 2 more double crochet into that same space, just as you did before. Work's supposed to look like this. Chain up 2, slip stitch into that pine and chain 3, slip stitch into your pine, chain 3, slip stitch into your pine. And you're just going to do this for each and every space, and I'll meet you guys at the next end. Just continue. Start off by creating chain 3, yarn over, go into that space and create a shell. Remember guys, do not put too much tension on your work. 1, 2, go into that next space and create a shell. Your work's supposed to be looking like this, 2 shell. So chain 2, slip stitch into your pine, chain 3, slip stitch into your pine, chain 3, slip stitch into your pine. And you're just going to do this for each and every one of your pine space. Chain up 2, yarn over, go into your shell space and create a shell. Chain 2, yarn over, go into that next space and create a shell. If you're liking this video guys, please give it a thumbs up. It helped the algorithm. Chain 2, slip stitch into your next pine space, chain up 3, slip stitch into your next pine space, chain up 3 and slip stitch into your next pine space. And you're going to continue to do this, and I'll meet you at the next rounds. Start off by chaining 3, yarn over, go back into that space and create your shell. Chain up 2, yarn over, right in between your 2 shell, you're going to place a shell right at that spot. Chain up 2, yarn over, go in between your shell and create your shell. Chain up 2, slip stitch into your pine, chain 3, slip stitch into your pine, chain 3, slip stitch into your pine, and you're going to do a chain 3 and slip stitch into each and every one of your pine stitch. last one, chain 2, yarn over, go into your shell and create a shell. Chain 2, yarn over, go in between your 2 shell and create a shell. Chain 2, yarn over, go into that next shell and create your shell. Chain 2, go into your pine and create a slip stitch. Chain up 3, slip stitch into your pine, chain up 3 and slip stitch into your pine, and you're going to continue to do this, and I'll meet you to the next rounds. Start off by chaining 3, go into that space and create your shell. We're going to do a little bit different in this row. Chain 2, yarn over, go into between these 2 shell space and create a double crochet. So we are going to do some extending in between our shells. Chain up 2, yarn over, go into your shell and create a shell. Chain up 2, yarn over, go in between your 2 shell and create a double crochet. Chain 2, yarn over, go into that shell space and create a shell. So this is how it's supposed to look. A double crochet in between each of them, because we're going to extend in between our shell. So chain up 2, slip stitch into your pine, chain up 3, slip stitch into your pine, chain up 3. You're going to do this for each and every space, a chain 3 with a slip stitch. So chain 2, yarn over and go into that shell space and create a shell. Now remember guys, we are going to do an extension in between our shells. Chain up 2, yarn over, place a double crochet in between your shell. Chain up 2, yarn over, go in between your shell with a shell. Chain up 2, yarn over, create a double crochet. Chain up 2, yarn over, go into that shell and create a shell. Chain 2, slip stitch into your pine, and you're just going to continue to do this, and I'll meet you at the next rounds. So start off by chaining your 3, yarn over, go back into that same space and create your shell. Chain up 2, yarn over, go in between your double crochet on your shell and place a double crochet. So we are going to create a mesh right between, because we are extending in between our two shells. So chain up 2, yarn over, in between your double crochet and your shell, place a double crochet. So it's supposed to look like this. Chain up 2, yarn over, go into that shell space and create a shell. And remember guys, do not put any tension on your work. I repeat, do not put any tension on your work. So chain up 2, yarn over, go into that space and do a double crochet. Chain 2, go in that space and do a double crochet. Chain 2, yarn over, go into your shell and create a shell. So your work's supposed to look like this. Extend in between your shells. So chain up 2, slip stitch into your pine, chain up 3, slip stitch into your pine. So our pine is getting smaller while we go, and continue to do a chain 3 with a slip stitch in between your pine. Last one, chain up 2, yarn over, go into that shell and create a shell. Chain up 2, yarn over, go into that space and create a double crochet. Chain up 2, go into that space and create another double crochet. Chain up 2, yarn over, go into your shell and create a shell. Chain 2, yarn over, go into that space and create a double crochet. Chain 2, yarn over, go into that space and create a double crochet. Chain 2, go into that space and create a shell. And remember guys, do not put any tension on your work. Chain 2, slip stitch into your pine, chain 3 and slip stitch into your pine. So you're just going to continue to do this, and I'll meet you at the next round. So if you see your work looking like this, all curling up, all you have to do is just take your hand and just stretch it out. So if you take your hand and you're stretching it out and you see flat, that means you are okay, so don't worry. But if you take your hand and stretching it out and it's not going down flat, that means you're putting too much tension on your work. Okay guys, so start off by creating 3 as usual. Go into that space and create your shell. And we're still going to do some extension in between our shell until our work is complete. So chain up 2, yarn over, go in between that space and create your mesh. So double crochet to create your mesh. So chain 2, yarn over, go into that same space. Chain 2, go into that next space. Chain 2, yarn over, go in between your shell and place a shell. So your work is supposed to look like this. Mesh in between your 2 set of shell. Chain 2, yarn over, go into the next space and create your double crochet. Chain 2, go into the space and create your double crochet. Chain 2, into the next space. Chain up 2, go into your shell and create a shell. this is how your work's supposed to look. And we are going to continue to do the same thing over and over until we reach to the destination that we want to go. So go into your pine and do your chain 3 with your slip stitch. Remember guys, if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe now and be a part of the Sparks family. Each one teach one. The more you subscribe, the more you motivate me to do more awesome videos. And don't forget guys to leave a comment, and you can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. The link is in the description down below. Go into your shell and create your shell. And we are going to constantly do the same thing that we are doing, and we're going to do 5 more rows of the same thing with extending in between our shell. And if you notice, our pine is getting smaller while we go. So continue to do this for the when you finish this rounds, do 5 more rounds and I'll be back with you guys. So I finished my 5 rows that I said I was going to do off camera. So in between your 2 shells you're supposed to have 8 double crochet in all. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, so 8 rows of double crochet. So for the next rounds we are going to do it a little bit different, and your work's supposed to be totally flat. Alright, if your work is not flat when you reach to this section, that simply means you're putting too much tension on your work. So start off by creating chain 3 as usual, and this is our last row of our square. Make your shell in between your shell. Chain up 2, yarn over, go into your mesh as usual like before, and continue to make your double crochet and creating your mesh in between your shells. Last one, chain up 2, go into that shell space and create a shell. Chain up 2, yarn over, go in between that mesh space and create a mesh. Last one, chain up 2, go in between your shell and create a shell. So for this section now, we are not going to do any chain 2. We are just going to yarn over, go into that shell, pull up a hoop, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through all 3, yarn over, go back into it and just create your shell. So no space in between. Just yarn over and just create your shell. And then chain up 2. So your work's supposed to look like this. So yarn over, go in between your mesh and create your mesh, and you're just going to continue to do this, and the same thing that you just do right here, that's what we're going to do for the next 2 space, and when we reach here I'll show you what next to do. So just continue doing that, guys. So I reached to the end of this rounds, so what I'm just going to do is just slip stitch right across, right into my 3rd chain space. I'm just going to do a slip stitch and then chain up 2 and then tug on it, then cut off my yarn. So your work's supposed to look like this. This is how each of the ends look, and this can make a wide range of items. It can make pillowcase, it can make dress, can make a lot of stuff. And next week I'll be showing you guys how to make the pineapple crochet romper. So make sure that you give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button and be a part of the family. Leave some comment down below and make sure that you follow me on Instagram. And if you do this work, don't be afraid to tag me in it, guys. I would like to feature you guys on my Instagram story. Alright, so I'll see you next time. Peace out. Love you guys.